Success does not begin with luck or timing. It begins the moment you decide to take control of your own life. This audiobook is a guide for anyone who is tired of feeling stuck, tired of waiting for the right moment, and ready to finally build the kind of life that feels meaningful and steady. You will hear ideas that are simple to understand, but powerful enough to change how you think, how you act, and how you show up every day. Each chapter will walk you through a different part of leading yourself from the inside, so you can stay focused, stay calm, and move toward the future you want with confidence. You will learn how to set clear goals, follow through with discipline, strengthen your mindset, and build habits that support your growth. You will discover how much control you actually have over your choices, your focus, your energy, and your reactions to difficult situations. With each chapter, you will see how daily commitment builds long-term results, and how personal leadership creates a path that feels stable and intentional. If you have ever felt overwhelmed by life or unsure of what to do next, this audiobook will help you slow down, breathe, and take back your direction. You will feel encouraged, grounded, and supported as you move through the lessons, and most of all, you will begin to understand that success is not something you chase. It is something you build through the way you think, the way you act, and the way you lead yourself every single day. Stay with this audiobook, because what comes next may change the way you approach your entire life. This journey is for you, and you deserve to hear every part of it. Chapter 1. Lead yourself first by choosing clear goals daily. Success begins with a simple decision that many people overlook. It is the decision to lead yourself before trying to influence anything outside of you. When you lead yourself, you stop drifting and start directing your life with clarity. You step into a quiet but powerful kind of authority that changes how you speak, how you act, and how you handle the challenges that rise in front of you. At the center of that authority is your ability to choose clear goals every day. This is not about writing down a wish or imagining a perfect life. It is about guiding your actions with intention so you no longer move through life in a fog of uncertainty. When you choose clear goals daily, you rise each morning with a sense of purpose that strengthens your character and sharpens your discipline. It makes you more present in your decisions and more honest about how you spend your time. Most people know they want a better life, but they never take the time to define what better means. They want to be healthier, but they never set a daily target for their meals, their movement, or their rest. They want to feel more confident, but they do not create goals for difficult conversations or new skills. They want financial stability, but they never decide what steps to take within the next 24 hours. This lack of clarity weakens motivation because the mind cannot stay committed to something that is vague. Your mind needs direction the same way your body needs food. When you give it clear goals, you give yourself something firm to stand on. You create a path that guides your actions and reduces mental noise. You stop reacting to life and begin shaping it. Leading yourself is not about pushing yourself harshly. It is about stepping into responsibility with calm strength. It is about recognizing that your life is yours to build. Each day is a blank space that waits for your decisions. Clear goals give structure to that space. They tell you where to place your effort and where to withdraw your attention. They reduce wasted days and build momentum through consistent action. When you choose your goals daily, you practice self-leadership in its purest form. You wake up and decide who you are going to be, not in theory, but in behavior. You do not wait for inspiration or motivation. You lead yourself through your choices. A clear goal is simple, direct, and achievable within the context of your day. It is not a grand vision that spans years. It is the action that belongs to today. If your long-term desire is to build a stronger body, your daily goal might be a specific workout, a healthier meal, or a fixed amount of movement. If your long-term desire is to grow in your career, your daily goal might be learning one new skill, improving something you did yesterday, or finishing a task with higher quality. If you want better relationships, your daily goal might be one meaningful conversation, one patient response, or one thoughtful gesture. These daily goals form the foundation that long-term success is built on. Without them, big dreams remain distant and vague. With them, progress becomes real and visible. Choosing clear goals daily does something powerful to your mindset. It strengthens your ability to focus. When you wake up and decide on your top priorities, you give your mind a reason to stay committed. You know what matters, so you are less tempted by distractions. You experience fewer moments of drifting from one task to another without direction. You begin to use your time with intention. Your energy becomes more organized. You stop feeling overwhelmed because you know exactly what to do next. This kind of clarity reduces stress and increases confidence. It shifts you from a passive mode of living to an active one. One of the most transformative aspects of setting daily goals is that it gives you immediate accountability. You know what you said you would do, and you know whether you did it or not. This creates honest self-evaluation, which is the foundation of growth. You cannot improve what you do not measure. When you choose your goals daily, the truth of your commitment becomes clear. You learn where you are disciplined and where you hesitate. You learn what habits hold you back and what behaviors help you move forward. You begin to understand yourself at a deeper level. This insight strengthens your capacity to lead your own life, because leadership always begins with self-awareness. There is a calm strength in waking up and choosing what you will accomplish before the day distracts you. It is an act of self-respect. It is a reminder that your time is valuable and your life has direction. Many people allow the world to decide their priorities. They jump from message to message, from problem to problem, from noise to noise. They end each day exhausted but unclear about what they actually achieved. When you choose your goals daily, you reverse this pattern. You decide your priorities before the world places its demands on you. You create structure before the day becomes chaotic. This is the discipline that separates growth from stagnation. Daily goals also help you break free from perfectionism. When you decide what must be done today, you no longer aim for flawless execution. You focus on progress. You focus on consistency. You focus on doing the work rather than doing it perfectly. This gives you momentum. It reduces procrastination. It puts your energy toward action instead of overthinking. When you complete small goals, you build trust in yourself. That trust grows into courage, grows into resilience. It all begins with choosing clear goals daily. Many people feel lost because they carry too many goals in their mind at once. They try to change their entire life at the same time. They leave no room for focus or simplicity. They overwhelm themselves. Choosing clear goals daily solves this problem because it forces you to narrow your attention. Instead of trying to do everything, you do what matters right now. Instead of trying to change 10 habits at once, you change one small action today. This approach leads to sustainable progress. It aligns your effort with your capacity. It gives you a practical path that fits into your real life, not an imagined version of it. Leading yourself starts with honesty. You must be clear about what you truly want and why you want it. Many goals fail because they are borrowed from other people. Someone else's idea of success becomes your own without questioning it. Daily goal setting forces you to reconnect with your real desires. It requires you to look at your life and make a conscious choice about what direction matters most to you. You learn to distinguish between what you think you should want and what you genuinely want. This clarity brings peace. It brings direction. It brings authenticity to your actions. Each morning is an opportunity to ask yourself a simple but powerful question. What is the most important thing I can accomplish today that moves me toward the life I want? This question cuts through confusion. It brings your long-term vision into the present moment. It turns vague dreams into concrete steps. When you answer this question daily, you begin to build a life that reflects your values. You begin to act with purpose instead of habit. You begin to lead yourself with intention. Daily goals also help you manage your emotions. When your mind is scattered, your emotions easily take control. You react impulsively. You lose patience. You make decisions based on stress rather than clarity. When you have a clear set of goals, your emotions have less power over your behavior. You focus on the task rather than the feeling. You act from discipline rather than mood. You develop emotional stability because your actions are guided by purpose, not impulse. This is a core principle of self-leadership. It teaches you to act with reason, even when your emotions pull you in another direction. The discipline of choosing clear goals every day strengthens your relationship with time. Instead of letting time slip away unnoticed, you begin to treat it as a valuable resource. You start seeing hours as tools you can use to shape your future. You stop wasting days and start investing them. You begin to understand that every small effort matters. Each day becomes a chance to grow. Each moment becomes an opportunity to strengthen your character. This mindset shift is one of the most empowering changes a person can experience. The process of setting daily goals does not need to be complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes at the start of your day to write down 1 to 3 clear actions you will complete. These actions must be specific enough to measure and meaningful enough to matter. They should not be a long list of tasks, but a small list of priorities. This clarity allows you to move through your day with direction. It gives you a sense of accomplishment when you complete them. It trains your mind to stay focused. When you begin leading yourself with daily goals, you may notice resistance. The mind often resists change because it prefers what is familiar. You might feel uncomfortable choosing goals because it forces you to confront your previous patterns. This discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign that you are growing. Self-leadership requires you to rise above old habits. It requires you to challenge the part of you that wants comfort over progress. With time, this discomfort fades and the discipline becomes natural. You begin to crave the clarity that daily goals provide. Choosing clear goals daily also teaches you patience. Real success is not built overnight. It is built through small improvements repeated over long periods of time. When you commit to daily goals, you learn to trust the process. You learn to focus on what you can control today, rather than worrying about the future. You build peace through action. You create stability through routine. You strengthen your identity by proving to yourself each day that you can follow through. Over time, these small efforts transform your life. They create a foundation that can support your biggest ambitions. One of the most valuable benefits of this practice is that it reduces regret. Many people look back at years of their life and wish they had done things differently. They wish they had used their time better. They wish they had started earlier. When you choose clear goals daily, you minimize this kind of regret. You give each day purpose. You turn time into progress. You create a life that feels intentional instead of accidental. Even when you face setbacks, you know you are moving forward because each day holds its own small victory. Success begins to follow you because self-leadership changes who you become. When you lead yourself with clarity, people begin to trust you. They see consistency in your behavior. They see direction in your actions. They feel your sense of purpose. Opportunities often rise for those who show discipline and direction. People are drawn to individuals who take responsibility for their own lives. When you lead yourself first, you gain respect without demanding it. You earn influence without asking for it. Your presence becomes stronger because your life is aligned with your goals. The act of choosing clear goals daily teaches you to live intentionally rather than reactively. It grounds you in the present while moving you toward the future. It sharpens your focus, strengthens your discipline, and builds your confidence. It teaches you to trust yourself. It helps you understand your values. It gives you a sense of direction that many people never find. When you lead yourself with this kind of clarity, success becomes a natural outcome. It follows you because your actions create it. Every day is a new chance to become a better version of yourself. It does not matter what mistakes you made yesterday. It does not matter how many times you tried and failed. What matters is that today you choose to lead yourself. You choose clarity over confusion. You choose discipline over drift. You choose purpose over habit. When you set your goals for the day, you take control of your life in a powerful way. You create a path forward that no one else can control. You step into a leadership role that belongs to you. Leading yourself is not about being perfect. It is about being committed. It is about showing up for your life every day with intention. It is about deciding what matters and taking the steps that move you toward it. This kind of leadership does not happen through force. It happens through daily choice. Each goal you set is a declaration that you are responsible for your future. Each completed goal strengthens your belief in your ability to grow. Over time, these choices shape your identity. They turn you into someone who can trust their own discipline, someone who can guide their own life, someone success naturally follows. Your future depends on what you do today. When you choose clear goals daily, you honor that truth. You build a life that reflects your highest values. You create momentum that carries you through difficult seasons. You develop a quiet strength that keeps you grounded no matter what challenges you face. You become the kind of person who does not wait for change but creates it. This is the foundation of self-leadership. This is the path that leads to lasting success. If you want success to follow you, lead yourself first. Choose your goals each morning. Act with purpose. Build your life with intention. Stay committed to the small steps that move you forward. Every day is a chance to lead yourself with clarity and discipline. When you live this way, success will not be something you chase. It will be something you attract through who you become. Chapter 2. Build strong discipline by taking action without delay. Discipline grows the moment you decide that action matters more than hesitation. It begins when you stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, or the perfect level of confidence, and instead move forward with whatever strength you have right now. Many people lose progress, not because they lack talent, but because they delay the very actions that could change their lives. When you take action without delay, you train your mind to step away from excuses and toward growth. You build a pattern of behavior that strengthens your character and frees you from the habit of postponing your own success. Every time you move quickly on what needs to be done, you shape a new identity, one that acts with purpose instead of fear. Strong discipline is built through simple actions done consistently. It is not something you wait to feel. It is something you build through repeated choices. When you act without delay, you interrupt the cycle of hesitation that keeps most people stuck. Hesitation gives room for doubt, distraction, and fear. It allows the mind to create reasons to avoid progress. Action breaks that cycle before it begins. When you do the task immediately, you silence the noise that slows you down. You train your mind to follow your decisions instead of arguing with them. This is the foundation of a disciplined life. The moment you choose to act, you reclaim control over your time. Time is often lost in small delays, checking one more message, taking a few extra minutes to think, or convincing yourself that you will start later. These moments seem harmless, but they accumulate into wasted hours and unfinished goals. When you take action without delay, you protect your time from being quietly taken by distractions. You use it with intention. You begin to see how much progress is possible when you remove the gap between decision and action. That small gap is where discipline either grows or weakens. Closing that gap strengthens you in ways that affect every area of your life. Acting without delay does not mean acting recklessly. It means acting decisively. It means doing what you already know needs to be done. Most tasks in daily life do not require long analysis. They require commitment. You know when a workout must be done. You know when a project needs attention. You know when a conversation should happen. You know when a responsibility is waiting. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to begin. Action removes that resistance. Each time you start right away, you build momentum that carries you further than you expect. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth, and it begins with immediate action. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about honoring your own. It is about treating your time and your goals with respect. When you delay action, you weaken your trust in your own word. You teach yourself that your decisions are optional. Over time, this creates a quiet frustration because you know you are capable of more. When you take action without delay, you strengthen your self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can rely on your own commitment. That reliability becomes a source of confidence. Confidence does not grow from empty encouragement. It grows from seeing yourself follow through. One of the biggest obstacles to discipline is overthinking. When the mind has too much time to analyze a task, it often imagines unnecessary difficulties. It exaggerates the effort required. It creates emotional resistance. This is why acting quickly matters. When you move as soon as you decide, you bypass the mental barriers that slow your progress. The task becomes easier because you are focused on doing. Instead of thinking, the mind settles once action begins. Movement brings clarity. Progress reduces fear. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable, simply because you started right away. Taking action without delay also teaches you to handle discomfort in a healthy way. Growth requires effort. Effort often brings discomfort. When you delay, you intensify the discomfort in your mind. When you act, you confront it directly. You realize that discomfort is temporary and far less intimidating than you imagined. This realization makes you stronger. You stop avoiding challenges and start meeting them with calm determination. You learn that you can do difficult things without waiting for courage to appear first. Courage often appears after you begin, not before. Strong discipline is built in moments when you do not feel motivated. Motivation is helpful, but it is inconsistent. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstances. If you depend on motivation, you will remain inconsistent. Discipline is the ability to act regardless of motivation. It is the strength to do what matters even when your feelings suggest otherwise. Acting without delay reinforces this strength. It teaches you to move without waiting for ideal emotional conditions. It teaches you to make progress even on days when you feel tired or discouraged. This kind of consistency creates a powerful sense of stability in your life. A disciplined person does not waste energy debating simple actions. They know that starting is the hardest part, so they begin immediately. They understand that small tasks completed on time build a sense of order. They recognize that daily actions reinforce character. When you train yourself to act without delay, your life becomes more organized. Clutter decreases, unfinished tasks stop piling up, responsibilities become manageable. Your mind feels lighter because you handle things before they become burdens. This creates a sense of control that reduces stress and improves your overall well-being. Taking action without delay also increases productivity in a natural way. You accomplish more not because you rush, but because you remove the resistance that slows most people down. When you start tasks immediately, you use your mental energy efficiently. You prevent small tasks from turning into large ones. You move through your day with smoother transitions. You complete one task and shift to the next without unnecessary pauses. This rhythm strengthens your ability to stay focused. It trains your mind to stay engaged in the present moment, which increases performance in every area of life. You also become more dependable when you act quickly. Others begin to recognize your consistency. They see that you follow through on commitments. They trust you more. Opportunities often come to those who show discipline because people value reliability. When you act without delay, you develop a reputation for being someone who takes responsibility seriously. This improves relationships, strengthens teamwork, and opens doors in both personal and professional areas. Discipline does not only change how you see yourself, it changes how the world sees you. Taking action without delay helps you stay grounded in reality. When you spend too much time thinking instead of doing, your mind drifts into unrealistic scenarios. You imagine outcomes instead of creating them. You worry about possibilities instead of addressing the task in front of you. Action brings you back to the present. It puts your attention on what you can control. It prevents you from being trapped in cycles of fear or doubt. By acting quickly, you anchor yourself in real progress rather than imagined problems. Self-discipline grows stronger when you set clear intentions and follow through immediately. Each time you act without delay, you affirm your commitment to your goals. You prove to yourself that you are in charge of your decisions. This builds resilience Because you learn to handle responsibilities without waiting for the perfect circumstances. You learn to trust your judgment. You learn to move even when the path is unfamiliar. This level of discipline becomes a powerful advantage in life because you are no longer held back by hesitation. Action also reveals what needs improvement. When you delay, you hide from the truth. When you act, you gain direct experience. You learn what works and what does not. You learn where you need more skill, more patience, or more. This kind of honest feedback is the engine of personal growth. You refine yourself through doing, not through waiting. Each completed action becomes a step toward mastery. Over time, improvement becomes natural because you are constantly moving, learning, adjusting, and progressing. The strength you gain from taking action without delay becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who gets things done. That identity, you hesitate less, you commit more. You build a sense of self that is rooted in discipline rather than impulse. This identity becomes a source of internal stability. When life becomes challenging, discipline keeps you steady. It gives you direction when emotions fluctuate. It gives you clarity when uncertainty appears. It reminds you that you have the ability to shape your life through consistent action. Success grows from disciplined behavior. When you take action without delay, you shorten the distance between intention and achievement. You use your time wisely. You reduce stress. You strengthen your character. You build momentum that pushes you forward even when circumstances are difficult. You become someone who moves with purpose. Someone who respects their own goals. Someone who makes progress every single day. This is how strong discipline is formed, not through force, but through immediate action guided by clear intention. When you lead yourself by acting without delay, you create a life that reflects your best qualities. You stop letting hesitation control your decisions. You stop allowing fear to slow you down. You begin living with a sense of direction that brings peace and confidence. Each day becomes an opportunity to strengthen your discipline. Each action becomes a statement of who you are becoming. As this pattern grows, you will notice that progress becomes easier, challenges feel smaller, and success feels closer. Discipline is not a skill you acquire once. It is a decision you renew every time you act without delay. Chapter 3. Strengthen your mindset by guiding your thoughts with intention. Discipline grows the moment you decide that action matters more than hesitation. It begins when you stop waiting for the perfect mood, the perfect moment, or the perfect level of confidence, and instead move forward with whatever strength you have right now. Many people lose progress, not because they lack talent, but because they delay the very actions that could change their lives. When you take action without delay, you train your mind to step away from excuses and toward growth. You build a pattern of behavior that strengthens your character and frees you from the habit of postponing your own success. Every time you move quickly on what needs to be done, you shape a new identity, one that acts with purpose instead of fear. Strong discipline is built through simple actions done consistently. It is not something you wait to feel. It is something you build through repeated choices. When you act without delay, you interrupt the cycle of hesitation that keeps most people stuck. Hesitation gives room for doubt, distraction, and fear. It allows the mind to create reasons to avoid progress. Action breaks that cycle before it begins. When you do the task immediately, you silence the noise that slows you down. You train your mind to follow your decisions instead of arguing with them. This is the foundation of a disciplined life. The moment you choose to act, you reclaim control over your time. Time is often lost in small delays. Checking one more message, taking a few extra minutes to think, or convincing yourself that you will start later. These moments seem harmless, but they accumulate into wasted hours and unfinished goals. When you take action without delay, you protect your time from being quietly taken by distractions. You use it with intention. You begin to see how much progress is possible when you remove the gap between decision and action. That small gap is where discipline either grows or weakens. Closing that gap strengthens you in ways that affect every area of your life. Acting without delay does not mean acting recklessly. It means acting decisively. It means doing what you already know needs to be done. Most tasks in daily life do not require long analysis. They require commitment. You know when a workout must be done. You know when a project needs attention. You know when a conversation should happen. You know when a responsibility is waiting. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes to begin. Action removes that resistance. Each time you start right away, you build momentum that carries you further than you expect. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth, and it begins with immediate action. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It is about honoring your own decisions. It is about treating your time and your goals with respect. When you delay action, you weaken your trust in your own word. You teach yourself that your decisions are optional. Over time, this creates a quiet frustration because you know you are capable of more. When you take action without delay, you strengthen your self-respect. You prove to yourself that you can rely on your own commitment. That reliability becomes a source of confidence. Confidence does not grow from empty encouragement. It grows from seeing yourself follow through. One of the biggest obstacles to discipline is overthinking. When the mind has too much time to analyze a task, it often imagines unnecessary difficulties. It exaggerates the effort required. It creates emotional resistance. This is why acting quickly matters. When you move as soon as you decide, you bypass the mental barriers that slow your progress. The task becomes easier because you are focused on doing instead of thinking. The mind settles once action begins. Movement brings clarity. Progress reduces fear. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable simply because you started right away. Taking action without delay also teaches you to handle discomfort in a healthy way. Growth effort often brings discomfort. When you delay, you intensify the discomfort in your mind. When you act, you confront it directly. You realize that discomfort is temporary and far less intimidating than you imagined. This realization makes you stronger. You stop avoiding challenges and start meeting them with calm determination. You learn that you can do difficult things without waiting for courage to appear first. Courage often appears after you begin, not before. Strong discipline is built in moments when you do not feel motivated. Motivation is helpful, but it is inconsistent. It rises and falls based on mood, energy, and circumstances. If you depend on motivation, you will remain inconsistent. Discipline is the ability to act regardless of motivation. It is the strength to do what matters even when your feelings suggest otherwise. Acting without delay reinforces this strength. It teaches you to move without waiting for ideal emotional conditions. It teaches you to make progress even on days when you feel tired or discouraged. This kind of consistency creates a powerful sense of stability in your life. A disciplined person does not waste energy debating simple actions. They know that starting is the hardest part, so they begin immediately. They understand that small tasks completed on time build a sense of order. They recognize that daily actions reinforce character. When you train yourself to act without delay, your life becomes more organized. Clutter decreases. Unfinished tasks stop piling up. Responsibilities become manageable. Your mind feels lighter because you handle things before they become burdens. This creates a sense of control that reduces stress and improves your overall well-being. Taking action without delay also increases productivity in a natural way. You accomplish more, not because you rush, but because you remove the resistance that slows most people down. When you start tasks immediately, you use your mental energy efficiently. You prevent small tasks from turning into large ones. You move through your day with smoother transitions. You complete one task and shift to the next without unnecessary pauses. This rhythm strengthens your ability to stay focused. It trains your mind to stay engaged in the present moment, which increases performance in every area of life. You also become more dependable when you act quickly. Others begin to recognize your consistency. They see that you follow through on commitments. They trust you more. Opportunities often come to those who show discipline because people value reliability. When you act without delay, you develop a reputation for being someone who takes responsibility seriously. This improves relationships, strengthens teamwork, and opens doors in both personal and professional areas. Discipline does not only change how you see yourself, it changes how the world sees you. Taking action without delay helps you stay grounded in reality. When you spend too much time thinking instead of doing, your mind drifts into unrealistic scenarios. You imagine outcomes instead of creating them. You worry about possibilities instead of addressing the task in front of you. Action brings you back to the present. It puts your attention on what you can control. It prevents you from being trapped in cycles of fear or doubt. By acting quickly, you anchor yourself in real progress rather than imagined problems. Self-discipline grows stronger when you set clear intentions and follow through immediately. Each time you act without delay, you affirm your commitment to your goals. You prove to yourself that you are in charge of your decisions. This builds resilience because you learn to handle responsibilities without waiting for the perfect circumstances. You learn to trust your judgment. You learn to move even when the path is unfamiliar. This level of discipline becomes a powerful advantage in life because you are no longer held back by hesitation. Action also reveals what needs improvement. When you delay, you hide from the truth. When you act, you gain direct experience. You learn what works and what does not. You learn where you need more skill, more patience, or more consistency. This kind of honest feedback is the engine of personal growth. You refine yourself through doing, not through waiting. Each completed action becomes a step toward mastery. Over time, improvement becomes natural because you are constantly moving, learning, adjusting, and progressing. The strength you gain from taking action without delay becomes part of your identity. You start seeing yourself as someone who gets things done. That identity influences every future decision. You hesitate less, you commit. You build a sense of self that is rooted in discipline rather than impulse. This identity becomes a source of internal stability. When life becomes challenging, discipline keeps you steady. It gives you direction when emotions fluctuate. It gives you clarity when uncertainty appears. It reminds you that you have the ability to shape your life through consistent action. Success grows from disciplined behavior. When you take action without delay, you shorten the distance between intention and achievement. You use your time wisely, you reduce stress, you strengthen your character, you build momentum that pushes you forward even when circumstances are difficult. You become someone who moves with purpose, someone who respects their own goals, someone who makes progress every single day. This is how strong discipline is formed. Not through force, but through immediate action guided by clear intention. When you lead yourself by acting without delay, you create a life that reflects your best qualities. You stop letting hesitation control your decisions. You stop allowing fear to slow you down. You begin living with a sense of direction that brings peace and confidence. Each day becomes an opportunity to strengthen your discipline. Each action becomes a statement of who you are becoming. As this pattern grows, you will notice that progress becomes easier, challenges feel smaller, and success feels closer. Discipline is not a skill you acquire once. It is a decision you renew every time you act without delay. Chapter 4. Grow your confidence by keeping promises to yourself. A strong mindset is something you build by choosing the direction of your thoughts, instead of letting them run wherever they want. Every thought you allow to stay in your mind shapes how you feel, how you act, and how you respond to life. When you guide your thoughts with intention, you become the one in control instead of being controlled by worry, doubt, or old habits. You begin to think with clarity instead of confusion. You begin to make decisions based on strength instead of fear. This is how a powerful mindset develops, not through force, but through steady mental guidance that grows stronger each day. Your mind responds to what you feed it. If you give it fear, it will find more things to fear. If you give it clarity, it will search for solutions. Most people spend their days responding to their thoughts instead of directing them. They let their minds drift toward the loudest emotion or the strongest worry. But when you guide your thoughts, you shift from reacting to shaping. That shift is the beginning of inner strength. It gives you control over your mood, your focus, and your energy. You stop living in mental chaos and start living with internal order. Intentional thinking starts with awareness. You cannot guide thoughts you do not notice. Many thoughts appear automatically, often shaped by old experiences or long-standing beliefs, and you might not realize how much influence they have. When you pay attention to what enters your mind, you gain the ability to choose what stays. Awareness gives you space to decide which thoughts serve your growth and which ones weaken your confidence. This space becomes the foundation of mental strength because it allows you to act with clarity instead of reacting with emotion. The mind naturally looks for patterns. When you think the same type of thoughts repeatedly, you create mental habits. These habits influence your reactions, your expectations, and your sense of what is possible. If your mental habits focus on limitations, you will see obstacles everywhere. If your mental habits focus on solutions, you will see opportunities even in difficulty. Guiding your thoughts means choosing the patterns you want your mind to follow. It means creating mental habits that lead you toward stability, discipline, and calm decision. Making your thoughts are not harmless. They influence how your body feels, how your relationships function, how much effort you give, and how much hope you allow yourself to have. When your thoughts are shaped by intention, you will notice that challenges become less overwhelming. You will feel more grounded. Even when circumstances are uncertain, you will make decisions with more patience and more clarity. This is not because life becomes easier, but because your inner environment becomes steady and focused. To guide your thoughts, you must decide what you want your mind to focus on each day. This decision gives direction to your mental energy. Without direction, your thoughts wander. They drift toward familiarity, and familiarity is often shaped by old fears or past disappointments. Intention redirects the mind toward what matters now. You might choose to focus on progress instead of perfection, solutions instead of complaints, gratitude instead of scarcity, or calmness instead of emotional reactions. These choices teach your mind where to place its attention, and the results show up in your actions. When you guide your thoughts with intention, you also reduce the power of negative thinking. Negative thoughts are not the problem. Believing them without questioning them is the problem. Every person experiences doubt, fear, or insecurity. But when you intentionally guide your thoughts, you approach negativity with reason instead of surrender. You examine whether the thought is useful, whether it is true, and whether it reflects the person you want to become. This process breaks the automatic cycle of negative thinking and replaces it with clarity and self-control. A strong mindset grows through repeated mental choices. Each time you redirect your attention from worry to patience, from frustration to focus, from doubt to effort, you strengthen your inner discipline. You teach your mind that it does not need to follow every emotion. You show yourself that you have influence over your thoughts, even when they appear quickly and intensely. Over time, your mind learns to settle faster, think clearer, and handle stress with greater stability. Guiding your thoughts also increases emotional strength. Emotions arise from interpretation. When your thoughts spiral, your emotions become overwhelming. When your thoughts are intentional, your emotions become manageable. This does not mean you suppress how you feel. It means you understand why you feel it, and you respond with clarity instead of confusion. Emotional strength is built through understanding, not avoidance. When you guide your thoughts, you understand your emotions more clearly, making it easier to respond in ways that support your growth. Another important aspect of intentional thinking is honesty with yourself. You cannot strengthen your mindset if you avoid the truth. Intentional thinking requires looking at your thoughts without denial or exaggeration. It means acknowledging when you are making excuses, identifying when fear is influencing your choices, and recognizing when your thinking is limiting your potential. This kind of honesty is not harsh. It is freeing. It removes the fog that distorts your perception and replaces it with clarity. Strong thoughts lead to strong choices. Weak thoughts lead to hesitation and inconsistency. When you guide your thoughts, you create a mental environment that supports decisive action. You stop questioning your worth and start focusing on your abilities. You stop worrying about outcomes and start preparing for them. You stop waiting for confidence and start building it through clear thinking. Your thoughts become a source of strength instead of a barrier to progress. Intentional thinking also helps you stay grounded during stressful situations. Stress becomes overwhelming when thoughts scatter in many directions. When you guide your thoughts, you stay centered. You focus on what you can control. You remain calm long enough to choose your response. This steadiness gives you an advantage in situations where others lose patience or panic. It helps you make better decisions, handle conflict with clarity, and stay focused when challenges arise. Your mindset also strengthens when you choose thoughts that support effort instead of avoidance. Many people avoid challenges because their thoughts convince them that the effort will be too hard or the outcome too uncertain. When you guide your thoughts, you assign new meaning to effort. You see it as growth instead of discomfort. You see challenges as opportunities for development instead of threats to your comfort. This shift allows you to pursue goals with more consistency and courage. Guiding your thoughts with intention also shapes the type of person you become. Your thoughts influence your habits, your behaviors, and your overall character. When your thoughts are guided by clarity, you act with purpose. When they are guided by fear, you act with hesitation. The more intentionally you think, the more aligned your actions become with your values. You begin to live in a way that reflects the person you want to be instead of the person your fears suggest you should become. Strong thinking also protects your peace. Without intentional thinking, the mind absorbs everything around it. Negativity from others, stress from the environment, and comparisons from social situations. But when you guide your thoughts, you filter what enters your mind. You choose which messages influence you. You let go of thoughts that drain your energy. This protects your inner stability and keeps you focused on your path. Guiding your thoughts with intention also strengthens your ability to stay hopeful. Hope is not blind optimism. It is a mental discipline. It is the decision to believe in possibilities even when you do not see immediate results. When your thoughts are intention-driven, you maintain a steady belief in your ability to grow. You continue working even when progress is slow. You stay committed even when challenges appear. This mental endurance becomes one of your greatest strengths. A strong mindset is not developed in a single moment. It is developed in daily choices. Every morning you have the opportunity to guide your thoughts before they guide you. You can choose patience over frustration, effort over avoidance, confidence over fear, and clarity over confusion. These choices shape your inner environment. With each intentional thought, you strengthen your mindset. When you live with intention, your mind becomes your strongest ally instead of your greatest obstacle. You stop fighting your own thoughts and start using them to support your goals. You think with purpose instead of impulse. You respond with clarity instead of confusion. You act with calm strength instead of emotional instability. As this mental discipline grows, you will notice that your actions become more focused, your emotions more stable, and your decisions more grounded. You will see challenges with a clearer perspective. You will feel less overwhelmed by uncertainty. You will become more patient, more aware, and more steady in your pursuit of growth. A strong mindset is not about controlling everything. It is about guiding what you can, your thoughts. When you learn to guide them with intention, you give yourself the power to shape your life from the inside out. You become someone who leads their mind with purpose, someone who stays steady in difficulty, someone who grows stronger through every thought they choose to keep. This kind of mindset will influence every action you take, every goal you pursue, and every challenge you overcome. When you guide your thoughts with intention, you train your mind to work for you rather than against you, and this becomes one of the greatest strengths you can carry through life. Chapter 5. Shape your future by improving one habit every day. Shaping your future begins with the simple decision to do something today that strengthens the person you will become tomorrow. When you focus on improving one habit every day, you give yourself a structure that helps you grow in a steady and dependable way. You stop relying on sudden breakthroughs or bursts of motivation, because you understand that long-term change comes from the actions you repeat, not the moments you experience once in a while. This mindset turns your daily life into a training ground for the qualities you want to build. Every habit you strengthen becomes a step toward the future you want to create, not in a dramatic way, but in a consistent and meaningful way that adds up over time. Improving one habit each day does not require a perfect plan. It only requires honesty about where you stand and clarity about where you want to go. Many people overwhelm themselves by trying to transform everything at once. They set too many rules, attempt to change too many things, and end up disappointed when they cannot keep up with the pressure. A better approach is far simpler and far more effective. Choose one habit that matters and commit to improving it. You do not need to master it in a single day. You only need to honor it in a real and intentional way. That small daily improvement becomes proof that you can rely on yourself, and once that proof grows strong enough, you begin to trust your ability to shape your life on your own terms. There is something powerful that happens when you shift your focus from perfection to progress. The need to be flawless disappears, and the desire to be better becomes more important than the fear of making mistakes. Each day becomes an opportunity instead of a test. Instead of trying to impress others or prove yourself, you begin measuring your growth by how much more steady, patient, and capable you become. This gives you a sense of freedom that many people never experience, because they spend their lives chasing results rather than building habits that naturally produce those results. By improving just one habit each day, you release yourself from unrealistic expectations and give yourself the space to evolve at a natural and sustainable pace. If you want to shape your future, start with the habits that hold the most influence over your life. These are usually simple areas that you may have overlooked because they feel too ordinary. How you start your morning, how you talk to yourself, how you manage your time, how you respond to challenges, how you control your attention, how you treat your body, how you approach your responsibilities, and how you handle distractions are all habits that either support or limit your progress. When you intentionally improve one of these areas, you set off a chain reaction that influences many other parts of your life. A better morning routine improves your focus. Better focus improves your productivity. Better productivity improves your confidence. Better confidence improves your decisions. A single habit can strengthen many other areas without you even noticing at first. The reason daily habit improvement is so effective is because it keeps your mind grounded in what you can control. Life is full of uncertainty. You cannot predict everything that will happen, but you can choose the habits you practice. You can choose how you spend your time and what you prioritize. When you place your attention on something small and actionable, you remove the pressure of trying to control the entire future. You put your energy into what you can change right now, over time. These small daily efforts become the foundation of stability. They make you calmer, more organized, and more prepared for whatever challenges appear. This sense of inner stability gives you strength that does not fade when circumstances shift around you. Improving one habit every day also teaches you discipline without force. Discipline grows naturally when your actions match your intentions. You do not need to push yourself with harsh pressure or unrealistic demands. You simply make the choice to honor one improvement each day. It may be as simple as waking up on time, exercising for a short period, reading for 10 minutes, eating in a healthier way, practicing patience in a conversation, or giving yourself a quiet moment to reflect. The size of the habit does not matter. What matters is the consistency. Small habits practiced repeatedly create a strong identity. Over time, you begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, who takes responsibility, who does not wait for motivation to appear. This identity becomes the foundation of long-term success. One of the most important parts of improving your habits is awareness. You cannot change what you ignore. Spend time paying attention to your daily patterns. Notice what lifts you up and what slows you down. Notice what drains your energy and what strengthens it. Notice how you speak to yourself, how you react to stress, how you avoid discomfort, and how you handle delays. These small patterns shape your life far more than the big decisions you make once in a while. When you see your habits clearly, you gain the power to reshape them. Awareness gives you the ability to choose instead of reacting on autopilot. Each new choice is a chance to build a habit that supports the future you want. Another valuable lesson that comes with daily habit improvement is patience. Real change takes time, and the people who achieve meaningful progress are the ones who learn to stay steady even when growth feels slow. Every small action counts, even when it seems insignificant. When you improve one habit each day, you learn to appreciate the process rather than rushing through it. You begin to notice how your efforts accumulate. You see how yesterday's improvement supports today's actions. You feel a sense of continuity that gives you confidence in your direction. Patience becomes an advantage instead of an obstacle. It gives you endurance, and endurance is what allows you to outgrow old limitations. There will be days when you do not feel motivated. Days when you feel tired, discouraged, or overwhelmed. This is where the practice of improving one habit becomes essential. When you commit to doing something small but meaningful, you maintain forward movement, even when your emotions fluctuate. Taking one step, no matter how small, prevents you from losing momentum. It reminds you that you are still in control of your direction. Over time, this becomes one of your greatest strengths. You stop depending on perfect conditions. You stop waiting for the ideal moment. You continue improving because it is who you choose to be, not because everything around you is comfortable. You may notice that as your habits improve, your self-belief grows naturally. Confidence is not built through dramatic achievements. It grows through the steady recognition that you are capable of honoring your commitments. When you improve one habit each day, you create a track record of follow-through. You begin to trust your ability to shape your life. You no longer feel controlled by old patterns or discouraged by past failures. You see real evidence that you can change. This evidence becomes internal strength. It becomes a quiet form of confidence that stays with you, even during uncertain times. Improving one habit every day also helps you separate what is essential from what is unnecessary. When you focus on small improvements, you become more aware of how you use your time and energy. You start removing actions that do not support your values or your goals. You reduce distractions, simplify your routines, and create space for things that truly matter. This makes your life more aligned with who you want to be. Instead of feeling scattered or overwhelmed, you feel directed and intentional. You know why you are doing what you are doing, and this clarity gives you a deeper sense of purpose. As your habits grow stronger, your relationship with challenges changes. You stop seeing obstacles as threats and start seeing them as opportunities to strengthen your character. When you improve one habit daily, you build the mental resilience needed to handle unexpected difficulties. You become more adaptable and more patient. You learn to stay grounded when life becomes unpredictable. This resilience becomes one of the most valuable outcomes of your daily commitment. It gives you the ability to stay focused on your long-term vision, even when short-term situations feel uncomfortable. One of the most overlooked benefits of improving one habit each day is the inner balance it creates. Growth becomes part of your identity. You no longer feel the need to rush or compare yourself to others. You move at your own pace with confidence and intention. This pace keeps you calm, steady, and grounded in your own path. You begin to appreciate the peace that comes from steady progress. You understand that real success is built on daily choices, not dramatic breakthroughs. Your future is shaped by the habits you build today. Every action you take becomes a piece of the life you are creating. When you improve one habit each day, you invest in the version of yourself you want to become. You give yourself a structure that supports your growth, protects your focus, and strengthens your confidence. This structure becomes the foundation of your progress. It becomes something you can depend on even when life becomes unpredictable. It gives you direction and purpose, not in a distant sense, but in a practical and daily way that you feel in your actions and decisions. The power to shape your future already exists within you. It shows up in your choices, your habits, your routines, and your willingness to improve even a little each day. When you commit to this path, you build a life that reflects your values, your efforts, and your growth. Each day gives you a new chance to strengthen the habits that support your goals. You do not need to control the entire future. You only need to honor today's improvement. When you do this consistently, the future begins to take shape in a direction that matches your best intentions. You become someone who can rely on yourself, someone who grows steadily, someone who builds a strong and meaningful life step by step. Chapter 6. Take full responsibility by owning every choice you make. Taking full responsibility begins with the decision to stop placing your power in the hands of anything outside yourself. When you choose to own every choice you make, you move from a passive way of living to an active one. You stop letting circumstances dictate your direction, and you stop allowing excuses to soften the truth about your actions. This shift is not about blaming yourself for every difficulty. It is about recognizing that your decisions create your path, your habits, shape your outcomes, and your responses determine your growth. When you accept this fully, you gain a level of control that many people never allow themselves to experience. Responsibility is not always comfortable because it removes the cushion that comes from blaming others or waiting for the perfect conditions. But comfort was never the goal. Growth requires honesty, and honesty requires the willingness to see yourself clearly. Every choice you make becomes a reflection of what you value, what you prioritize, and what you allow. When you take responsibility, you stop hiding behind distractions, and you stop pretending that life is happening to you without your involvement. You recognize that you are an active participant in your outcomes, whether those outcomes are strong or weak. This awareness does not weigh you down. It frees you from the mindset that keeps you stuck. Owning your choices means admitting when you have taken actions that do not align with the person you want to become. It means acknowledging when you did not put in the effort you know you could have, when you reacted without thinking, or when you allowed fear to lead your decisions. These moments are not failures. They are chances to understand yourself better. When you face them with honesty instead of avoidance, you learn where you need to grow. You strengthen your ability to make better decisions in the future because you stop running from the truth. You face your habits, your patterns, and your tendencies with clarity. And clarity is what gives you the power to change. Many people avoid responsibility because they fear what it might reveal. They fear realizing how much time they have wasted, how many chances they ignored, or how many decisions were driven by frustration, insecurity, or impatience. But avoiding the truth does not protect you. It only delays your growth. When you decide to own every choice, you no longer feel the need to run from your past actions. You see them as lessons that shaped you and tools that can guide you forward. You gain the strength to make decisions that match your intentions instead of impulses. This creates a future that is built on awareness rather than automatic reactions. A powerful part of responsibility is the ability to admit when you made the wrong choice and then correct it with maturity. Many people cling to their mistakes because they want to protect their ego. They try to justify their actions rather than learning from them. This approach keeps them trapped. When you accept that you are capable of making mistakes and that you have the strength to correct them, you remove the weight of pride that slows your growth. You grow faster because you respond to the truth instead of defending your old decisions. This attitude gives you flexibility, humility, and stability. It helps you evolve without hesitation. Taking full responsibility also means owning your reactions. You cannot control every situation, but you can control how you respond to it. When you react from anger, fear, impatience, or frustration, you often create outcomes that do not serve you. When you respond with intention and clarity, you create outcomes that reflect your maturity. Owning your reactions means recognizing when your emotions are leading you in the wrong direction and choosing to pause instead of acting impulsively. It means being aware of the impact your words and actions have on others. It means deciding to respond in a way that reflects the person you want to be, not the emotion you feel in the moment. Another part of responsibility is understanding the impact of your choices on your future. Every decision you make carries a consequence. Some consequences appear immediately, while others shape you silently over time. When you take responsibility, you think beyond the moment. You consider how your actions will influence your growth, your opportunities, your relationships, and your well-being. This awareness does not make your life complicated. It makes your decisions wiser. You begin to choose actions that strengthen your character rather than weaken it. You start valuing discipline over comfort and purpose over distraction. This is how responsibility becomes a guide for long-term success. Responsibility also teaches you to stop waiting for someone else to take action for you. Many people delay their progress because they expect another person to change, support them, motivate them, or solve their difficulties. This mindset weakens you because it gives your power away. When you take full responsibility, you stop waiting for permission to improve your life. You stop waiting for perfect timing or you recognize that the only person who can move your life forward is you. No one else can make decisions for you. No one else can give you discipline or commitment. No one else can build your habits or change your mindset. This independence strengthens your confidence and gives you the courage to take action even when the path is uncertain. Owning every choice you make also requires self-respect. When you respect yourself, you do not allow excuses to limit your progress. You do not lie to yourself about your efforts. You hold yourself to a standard that reflects your potential. Responsibility is a form of self-respect because it means you believe you have the power to influence your life. If you did not believe in yourself, you would avoid responsibility. You would hide behind circumstances and expect life to change without your involvement. But when you take responsibility, you demonstrate that you value your growth enough to be honest about your role in it. As you develop this mindset, you begin to feel a deeper sense of control over your life. You no longer feel lost or uncertain about your direction because you know that your choices create your path. Even when challenges appear, you feel more grounded because you understand that your response determines the outcome. This sense of control is not about trying to force everything to go your way. It is about recognizing that your decisions hold power. You become more decisive because you trust your ability to handle the consequences of your choice. Taking responsibility also strengthens your discipline. When you know that every action reflects your level of commitment, you become more careful with your time and attention. You no longer treat your goals casually. You no longer waste hours on distractions that do not support your growth. You understand that your daily decisions shape your future, and this understanding motivates you to choose actions that move you forward. Discipline becomes natural because it aligns with your sense of responsibility. You follow through because you know that you are responsible for the results you produce. This mindset also improves your relationships. When you take responsibility for your words and actions, you communicate more honestly and respectfully. You do not blame others for your reactions, and you do not expect them to solve your internal struggles. You contribute to your relationships with maturity, understanding, and stability. This creates deeper trust and reduces unnecessary conflict. People feel safer around you because they know you are accountable for your behavior. Responsibility creates a foundation of integrity that strengthens every relationship in your life. When you commit to owning every choice you make, you begin to build a strong and stable identity. You no longer feel pulled in different directions by emotions, circumstances, or outside pressure. You live with a sense of clarity and purpose because you know that your choices define your path. This gives you confidence in your ability to create meaningful progress. You become someone who can be trusted, someone who follows through, someone who grows through challenges rather than collapsing under them. Your life becomes clearer when responsibility becomes your foundation. You stop looking for excuses and start looking for solutions. You stop waiting and start acting. You stop blaming and start learning. Every choice becomes a chance to grow, and every day becomes an opportunity to build the person you want to be. When you own your decisions fully, you gain a level of freedom that only comes from knowing that your progress is in your hands. This freedom is what allows you to create a future that reflects your intentions, your strength, and your commitment to becoming your best self. Chapter 7. Protect your focus by removing distractions from your environment. Protecting your focus begins with understanding how easily the mind can be pulled away from what matters. Every distraction carries a cost, even if it seems harmless in the moment. The mind needs clarity, and clarity cannot survive in a space filled with noise, clutter, and interruptions. When you choose to remove distractions from your environment, you are not just cleaning a room or turning off a device. You are creating a space where your thoughts can settle, your priorities can rise, and your efforts can be used without interruption. Focus is not something you borrow. It is something you build by shaping the world around you, so it supports your growth rather than draining your attention. You cannot expect to stay focused when everything around you competes for your attention. Every notification, every open tab, every unnecessary object on your desk pulls your mind into small detours. These detours break your momentum and weaken your ability to stay present. When you remove these distractions, you give your mind room to function with strength and intention. This is not about perfection. It is about giving yourself an environment where your mind can work without constantly fighting for control. When you remove unnecessary noise, your thoughts gain depth and your actions gain purpose. A powerful way to protect your focus is to create clear boundaries for your attention. Boundaries help you decide what belongs in your day and what must be kept out. Without boundaries, anything can interrupt you at any time. You move through your tasks with divided attention, and divided attention leads to shallow effort. Protecting your focus means taking control over what gets access to your mind. It means deciding when you work, when you rest, and when you allow external input. These boundaries give your mind a sense of structure that strengthens your ability to stay committed to what you are doing. One of the biggest distractions today comes from digital noise. Devices are tools, but they quickly become sources of constant interruption. If your environment is filled with alerts, messages, and the temptation to check something just for a moment, your mind never fully settles. Protecting your focus requires limiting how often your attention is pulled towards screens that do not serve your goals. Turning off notifications, keeping your phone in another room, or scheduling specific times for digital tasks can help you regain control over your attention. These small choices create space for deeper thinking and stronger concentration. Another source of distraction comes from physical clutter. A space filled with random items creates mental noise. Even if you are not consciously aware of it, your mind processes your surroundings constantly, and a cluttered environment demands unnecessary attention. When you simplify the space around you, your mind becomes lighter. You begin to feel more grounded and less overwhelmed. Clearing your space does not require creating a perfect setting. It requires removing anything that competes with your ability to stay focused. Put away what you do not need, organize what matters. Give yourself a space that reflects calmness and purpose. People can also become distractions when they disrupt your flow or pull you into conversations that do not support your goals. Protecting your focus means communicating your need for uninterrupted time. You do not need to isolate yourself completely. You simply need to make clear that your work requires full attention. Setting expectations with those around you is part of creating an environment that respects your time and effort. When the people in your life understand your commitment, they are more likely to support your need for focus rather than disrupt it unintentionally. Protecting your focus also involves managing your internal distractions. Thoughts can become just as disruptive as anything in your environment. When your mind is cluttered with worries, plans, or unrelated ideas, you struggle to stay present. One powerful way to manage internal distractions is to pause for a moment before beginning an important task. Give yourself a chance to bring your attention to the present moment. Remind yourself why the task matters. Remind yourself what you want to accomplish. This simple reset can help quiet unnecessary thoughts and strengthen your intention. Another helpful strategy is to set small, clear time windows for focused work. When you know that you are dedicating a specific period to a task, it becomes easier to stay committed. The mind works better when it understands that it only needs to focus for a defined period, rather than feeling overwhelmed by endless time. Whether it is 10 minutes or an hour, the act of carving out intentional focus time creates a powerful sense of structure. During this time, eliminate everything that could pull you away. This teaches your mind that focused effort is not optional, it is part of your discipline. Removing distractions also requires honesty about the habits that weaken your focus. Sometimes you become your own distraction by checking something repeatedly, switching tasks too often, or allowing impulses to interrupt your work. When you recognize these habits, you can begin replacing them with healthier patterns. Building stronger focus requires training your mind to stay on one task at a time. Each time you resist the impulse to switch tasks, you strengthen your attention. Over time, your mind becomes more stable and less reactive to small interruptions. Another powerful way to protect your focus is to establish a routine that supports your mental clarity. When your day lacks structure, it becomes easy for distractions to slip in. A routine gives your mind direction. It helps you begin your day with clarity and end it with a sense of completion. When you know what your priorities are, you are less likely to waste time on meaningless tasks. A routine also helps you conserve mental energy by reducing the number of decisions you need to make. This leaves you with more focus for the work that requires depth and presence. It is also important to recognize that protecting your focus is not just about productivity. It is about protecting your peace. Distractions drain your mental energy and leave you feeling scattered and overwhelmed. When you reduce these distractions, you give yourself the freedom to think more deeply, feel more grounded, and connect more fully with what truly matters. You begin to move through your day with intention instead of reaction. This sense of control improves your confidence because you know you are directing your life instead of letting distractions direct you. Protecting your focus requires a commitment to simplicity. Simplicity makes room for clarity. When you remove what is unnecessary, you can give your attention to what is meaningful. This approach strengthens your discipline and allows you to make progress with less resistance. Each distraction you eliminate becomes a reminder that your time is valuable and your attention deserves respect. The more you declutter your environment, the more you declutter your mind. As you grow in this mindset, you begin to appreciate the power of a calm and distraction-free space. You notice how much easier it is to work, think, and create when your environment supports your goals. You feel more in control of your day because you are no longer pulled in multiple directions. Instead of losing hours to interruptions, you begin to use your time with intention. You start completing tasks with more satisfaction because your mind is fully present. Protecting your focus also requires patience with yourself. You will not eliminate every distraction at once. You will improve your environment slowly as you become more aware of what distracts you and why. Each small improvement strengthens your ability to stay focused and consistent. Over time, your environment becomes a reflection of your habits and your commitment to growth. This is how your surroundings begin to support the person you are becoming. As you continue building this practice, you develop a sense of inner stability. You no longer feel overwhelmed by constant noise and interruptions because you have learned how to create a space that protects your mind. You begin to value silence, order, and clarity. You learn how to direct your attention instead of scattering it. You learn how to stay present with your work instead of giving in to distractions. This level of focus becomes a powerful advantage in your life. It allows you to complete what you start, stay consistent with your goals, and move forward with purpose. Your environment shapes your attention, and your attention shapes your life. When you remove distractions, you give yourself the freedom to think clearly, act with intention, and stay aligned with your goals. Protecting your focus is an act of self-respect. It is a commitment to valuing your time, your energy, and your potential. When you create an environment that supports your focus, you build a foundation for steady and meaningful growth. Chapter 8. Lift your energy by caring for your body consistently. When you decide to lift your energy by caring for your body consistently, you give yourself an advantage that many people overlook. Every day, your body sends you signals about what it needs, and most of the time those signals are ignored because life feels urgent, responsibilities feel heavy, and routines become automatic. But your energy is the foundation that influences how you think, how you react, how you work, and how you show up for others. When you choose to care for your body with intention, you begin strengthening the engine that powers everything you do, and over time, that choice changes your entire experience of life. You start noticing how differently you feel when you move with purpose instead of rushing, how your patience grows when you aren't running on empty, and how much more capable you seem when your energy is steady instead of unpredictable. Most people assume that energy is something random that rises and falls based on the day, but energy is built through choices. It grows when you treat your body like an asset instead of an afterthought. Even small improvements create a meaningful shift because your body responds quickly to consistency. The way you breathe when you wake up, the first thing you put in your stomach, the amount of sleep you protect, and the way you move during the day all affect how much strength and clarity you have to work with. When you become aware of this connection, you stop waiting for energy to magically appear and instead start creating it. And the day you begin creating your own energy is the day you stop feeling powerless against fatigue, discouragement, or lack of motivation. Caring for your body doesn't require perfection, it requires rhythm. It requires a mindset that says, I value myself enough to give my body what helps it function well. When you adopt that attitude, you no longer view healthy choices as a punishment or a chore. You understand that you're building a stronger base for your entire life. You start looking at food differently, not as entertainment, but as fuel that either supports you or slows you down. You begin noticing how certain habits affect your mood, your mental clarity, and your emotional stability. And slowly, without forcing anything, your awareness leads to better decisions. You stop reaching for what harms you because you're honest about how it makes you feel afterward. You start choosing what nourishes you because you can feel the difference in your energy, your mood, and your ability to stay disciplined. When you commit to caring for your body consistently, you also gain more control over your days. You're no longer reacting to tiredness, irritability, or overwhelm. Instead, you're preventing them by giving yourself what you need before they take over. A well-rested mind processes challenges more calmly. A nourished body handles stress more effectively. A person who moves daily feels stronger, more grounded, and more confident. These advantages aren't small. They affect the quality of your decisions, the strength of your discipline, and the stability of your emotions. When your energy is high and steady, you think clearly, you follow through more easily, and you resist distractions with less effort. Your choices become sharper because your body is supporting your mind instead of working against it. One of the most empowering things about caring for your body is that it returns results faster than almost any other self-improvement effort. When you drink enough water, you feel the difference within hours. When you improve your sleep routine, your focus increases within days. When you move consistently, your confidence rises not just because your body feels stronger, but because you're proving to yourself that you can keep a promise. Each small action creates momentum, and that momentum becomes energy you can use for every other part of your life. You gain a sense of inner strength that comes from knowing you're no longer abandoning yourself. There is also a psychological shift that happens when you treat your body well. You start forming a new identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who struggles with energy or discipline. Instead, you begin seeing yourself as someone who takes care of their well-being with intention. That identity becomes a quiet source of pride. It shows up when you choose rest instead of pushing yourself to exhaustion. It shows up when you choose nourishing meals instead of shortcuts that drain you. It shows up when you choose movement over stagnation. These choices reshape the way you view yourself, and that new self-image influences every habit you build afterward. Consistency matters more than intensity. A short walk every day is more powerful than a long workout once a week. Protecting your sleep every night does more for your mind than catching up only when you're exhausted. Simple foods that nourish you consistently will improve your mood more than extreme diets that you abandon after a few days. When you learn the value of steady improvement, you stop chasing dramatic changes and start building a lifestyle that supports you every single day. That stability creates long-term energy, and long-term energy creates a version of you that can handle more, grow faster, and stay calm under pressure. Your energy also influences how you interact with others. When your body feels supported, your patience increases, your communication improves, and your presence becomes more grounded. You're less reactive, more understanding, and more capable of showing up as the person you want to be. People often underestimate how much emotional strength comes from physical well-being. When your body is constantly drained, it becomes harder to think rationally, harder to stay composed, and harder to maintain healthy relationships. But when your energy is balanced, your emotional resilience increases without effort. Caring for your body consistently also teaches you something important about discipline. It's easier to stay committed when you feel good. Most people think they lack motivation, but what they really lack is energy. You can have the strongest intentions, the clearest goals, and the best plans, but if your body is tired and depleted, those intentions lose their power. Your energy is the fuel behind every choice you make, and when you nurture that fuel, self-control becomes more natural. Your decisions become intentional instead of impulsive. Your habits become steady instead of inconsistent. When you choose to lift your energy through consistent care, you're deciding to give yourself a life where you don't constantly struggle with fatigue, frustration, or burnout. You're choosing clarity over confusion, strength over weakness, and long-term well-being over short-term comfort. You're choosing a future where your mind has the support it needs to stay sharp, focused, and resilient. And with every small action you take, every meal you improve, every night of sleep you protect, every moment you choose movement, you build a stronger version of yourself. That version of you has more courage, more presence, more patience, and more capacity to create the life you want. The more you commit to caring for your body, the more you realize that energy is not something you wait for. It's something you shape. It's something you build. It's something you earn through the choices you make daily. And when you build it with consistency, you give yourself the strength to rise above excuses, overcome obstacles, and create a life that feels purposeful and steady. That is the power of lifting your energy by caring for your body. And that power becomes one of your greatest advantages as you continue shaping your future with intention and discipline. Chapter 9. Develop resilience. By staying steady during difficult moments. Resilience begins to grow the moment you understand that difficult moments do not define you unless you let them. Every life contains seasons where progress slows, challenges multiply, and emotions feel heavier than usual. These periods test your patience, your commitment, and your sense of direction. But if you choose steadiness instead of panic, you give yourself room to think clearly, act wisely, and push through without losing your center. Staying steady doesn't mean ignoring what hurts or pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to let temporary circumstances influence the long-term story you are building. It means anchoring yourself to principles rather than moods. And it means remembering that strength is something built through pressure, not in the absence of it. When challenges appear, most people react quickly and emotionally, allowing the moment to overwhelm their judgment. But resilience is developed when you slow down your reaction and give yourself the space to respond with intention. You start by grounding your thoughts instead of surrendering to frustration or fear. You remind yourself that every obstacle has a solution, even if it isn't visible right away. You notice your emotions without being controlled by them. This ability to remain steady in a storm is not something you're born with. It's something you train through repeated practice. Each time you choose calm over chaos, you strengthen your mental stability. Each time you breathe through discomfort instead of running from it, you strengthen your emotional endurance. Each time you stay committed despite uncertainty, you reinforce your character. Resilience is easier to build when you stop viewing difficult moments as personal attacks and start seeing them as opportunities to grow in ways you wouldn't have otherwise. Hard moments reveal your internal patterns. They show you where your patience breaks, where your discipline weakens, and where your fears begin to speak louder than your confidence. When you stay steady, you become aware of these patterns without letting them dictate your actions. This awareness becomes a tool for self-improvement. You can adjust your choices because you understand yourself better. You can strengthen weak areas because you see them clearly. You can approach challenges differently because you no longer feel powerless in front of them. Staying steady during difficulty also teaches you a new type of courage. Not the dramatic courage that appears in heroic stories, but the quiet courage that keeps you moving even when progress is slow. It's the courage that helps you take another step after a setback. It's the courage that prevents you from giving up on yourself when results take longer than expected. This kind of bravery is built through repetition, through every moment you refuse to quit, through every time you hold your ground instead of collapsing under pressure. With time, this calm persistence becomes part of who you are. You no longer panic at minor obstacles. You no longer lose your balance when life feels uncertain. You become someone who can carry difficulty without losing direction. One of the strongest signs of resilience is the ability to separate facts from emotions. Difficult moments often trigger strong feelings, and if you react based on those feelings alone, you can make situations worse. But when you develop steadiness, you can acknowledge your emotions without letting them control your decisions. You can feel fear without acting out of fear. You can feel frustration without exploding. You can feel doubt without abandoning your goals. That separation allows you to see problems more accurately and respond more effectively. Your actions become guided by clarity rather than panic, and this clarity becomes one of your greatest strengths during any challenge. You also begin to trust yourself more deeply when you practice steadiness. Each time you stay calm in a difficult moment, you prove to yourself that you're capable of handling more than you thought. This self-trust grows quietly but powerfully. It shows up when new challenges arise, and instead of doubting your ability, you remind yourself of what you've already overcome. It shows up when pressure increases, and instead of breaking down, you remain focused. Trust in yourself is not built in easy moments. It's built in the moments where you decide not to surrender. The more you practice steadiness, the more solid this trust becomes, and the more resilient you grow. Resilience also grows when you learn to be patient with the process. Difficult moments often feel unbearable because the mind demands immediate results. You want solutions now. You want clarity now. You want relief now. But resilience teaches you that not every answer arrives instantly. Some solutions require time, reflection, and repeated effort. When you accept this, you stop fighting against the natural pace of growth. You learn to work with time instead of arguing with it. This patience keeps you grounded during challenges. It prevents you from abandoning long-term goals because of temporary discomfort, and it allows you to keep moving forward even when the path isn't fully visible. Another important part of resilience is learning to take responsibility for your responses. You can't control every event, but you can control how you choose to handle it. When you accept this, you stop blaming situations, people, or circumstances for your emotional state. You recognize that your reactions belong to you. This mindset gives you power. It reminds you that you're not a victim of life. You are a participant. It encourages you to think before acting. It helps you maintain dignity even in tension, and it strengthens your mental endurance because you're no longer giving away your power to external forces. Staying steady during difficult moments doesn't mean you become emotionless or disconnected. It means you develop a healthy balance between feeling and thinking. You allow yourself to experience emotions without drowning in them. You acknowledge discomfort without letting it dominate your behavior. This balanced approach helps you recover faster, learn faster, and grow faster. You begin to see challenges as temporary rather than permanent. You view setbacks as lessons rather than failures. You face uncertainty with a mindset that says, "I can handle this," even if the path is not yet clear. Resilience also requires you to maintain perspective. Difficult moments often feel larger than they really are because the mind magnifies discomfort. But when you step back and look at the bigger picture, you realize that most challenges are temporary, solvable, and manageable. Perspective helps you stay grounded when emotions rise. It reminds you that you've faced struggles before and overcome them. It shows you that growth often comes disguised as discomfort, and it prevents you from making decisions too quickly, simply because you want to escape the moment. Developing resilience is not a single moment of strength. It's the continuous practice of staying steady when life tests your patience, your beliefs, and your discipline. Every challenge becomes a chance to refine your character. Every setback becomes a moment to strengthen your inner stability. Every difficulty becomes training for a stronger future. When you learn to stay steady, you stop being shaken by every change in circumstances. You develop a calm center that remains stable, even when the world around you feels unpredictable. And that steadiness becomes one of the most valuable assets you carry throughout your life. The more you practice resilience, the more you realize that you are capable of enduring far more than you once believed. You learn that strength is not loud, it is consistent. It is deliberate. It is built through choices made in silence and pressure handled with patience. Staying steady transforms the way you handle challenges, the way you view yourself, and the way you move through life. And with each difficult moment you endure with stability, you become someone who rises above circumstances rather than being controlled by them. Chapter 10. Create lasting success by leading yourself with daily commitment. Lasting success is not created through one big breakthrough or a sudden shift in circumstances. It is built through the accumulation of small choices that you make each day. When you lead yourself with daily commitment, you give direction to your life instead of waiting for life to create direction for you. This daily commitment becomes the structure that supports your goals, your habits, and your character. It is the quiet force that keeps you moving forward, even when motivation fades or challenges appear. Many people want success, but few are willing to lead themselves consistently enough to create it. They work hard only when they feel inspired or when pressure forces them to act. But success does not respond to occasional effort. It responds to steady leadership from within, the kind that does not depend on mood or convenience. Leading yourself with daily commitment means you decide what matters most, and then follow through with those decisions again and again. You give your time and attention to actions that align with your long-term vision instead of getting pulled into distractions or emotional impulses. You create a personal standard that guides your behavior and choices, even when no one is watching. This standard becomes the foundation for everything you want to build. When you commit to this kind of leadership, you no longer lean on excuses or delay the work that moves you forward. You begin each day with clarity, return to your priorities throughout the day, and end with the confidence that comes from knowing you honored your responsibilities. One of the most important parts of leading yourself daily is creating routines that reinforce your goals. Routines are not meant to restrict you. They are meant to protect your progress. They give structure to your day, reduce wasted energy, and free your mind from constant decision-making. When you develop routines that support your growth, you no longer rely on willpower alone to stay on track. Instead of asking yourself whether you feel like doing the work, you simply do it because it is part of the commitment you've made. Whether it's dedicating time to learning, improving your health, building your skills, or strengthening your mindset, routines ensure that your goals receive consistent attention. They turn your intentions into actions and your actions into results. Daily commitment also requires honesty with yourself. You need to see where you are holding back, where you are inconsistent, and where you are allowing comfort to outweigh progress. This level of honesty is not always comfortable, but it is necessary for growth. When you tell yourself the truth, you can make real adjustments. You can change habits that slow you down, replace behaviors that do not serve your long-term goals, and hold yourself accountable at a deeper level. Leading yourself means you do not hide behind excuses or avoid responsibility for your actions. You face your choices directly and decide who you want to be through the actions you take each day. Another part of daily commitment is understanding that consistency matters more than intensity. Many people start strong but fade quickly because they rely on bursts of effort instead of steady progress. They put in high energy for a short period, then stop completely when life gets busy or when results do not appear immediately. But true leadership is built through steady movement, the kind that continues even when life feels demanding or unpredictable. When you stay consistent, your progress compounds, your skills sharpen, your mindset strengthens, your discipline becomes natural. The daily commitment you make becomes a long-term advantage because it allows you to build momentum and maintain it. Leading yourself each day also means learning to manage your attention. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources because it determines your direction. If you let it scatter across distractions, you slow your progress and weaken your discipline. When you guide your attention toward what matters, you reinforce your purpose and avoid getting lost in trivial tasks. Daily commitment requires you to be intentional with how you use your energy and time. You decide what deserves your focus and what must be removed from your life. This approach allows you to build a clearer path toward your goals and maintain mental clarity even when the world around you feels busy or chaotic. You strengthen your leadership when you learn to follow through, even on days when you feel tired, discouraged, or uncertain. These days test your commitment more than any others. Anyone can be committed when everything feels easy. True leadership shows when you keep going despite obstacles, doubt, or slow progress. When you show up consistently during difficult days, you build the kind of resilience that supports long-term success. You prove to yourself that discipline matters more than comfort. You reinforce the identity of someone who will not abandon their goals simply because the journey becomes uncomfortable. This identity becomes a powerful source of confidence because you learn to trust your own reliability. A major part of daily commitment is staying connected to your purpose. When you know why your goals matter, you are more willing to do the work required to achieve them. Purpose gives meaning to effort and strength to discipline. It reminds you what you are working toward when progress feels slow. But purpose must be revisited, not assumed. You strengthen it by reflecting on your values, your long-term vision, and the person you want to become. The clearer your purpose, the easier it becomes to make choices that align with your goals. Daily leadership means reconnecting with this purpose and allowing it to guide your actions. Leading yourself also requires patience. Results rarely appear as quickly as you want them to. Growth takes time. Skills take time. Mindset shifts take time. Success built on daily commitment requires you to trust the process even when it moves slowly. Patience allows you to stay steady without demanding instant progress. It helps you remain focused on long-term change instead of rushing toward short-term wins. This patience gives you the space to learn, adjust, and improve without feeling pressure to reach perfection immediately. When you lead yourself with patience, you build stronger foundations for everything you want to create. Another important part of daily leadership is understanding that your habits shape your future. Small actions repeated consistently create long-lasting results. When you choose habits that support your well-being, your goals, and your growth, you create momentum that works in your favor. Leading yourself means being intentional about these habits. It means replacing harmful habits with healthier alternatives and reinforcing behaviors that elevate your productivity, mindset, and self-respect. Daily commitment requires you to take responsibility for the habits you follow and to design routines that help you progress instead of falling behind. Daily leadership also depends on your ability to adapt. Life does not always follow your plans. Unexpected situations can interrupt routines, change your priorities, or challenge your emotional balance. When you lead yourself effectively, you learn to adjust without losing direction. Adaptation is not the same as abandoning your goals. It means finding new ways to keep moving forward, even when conditions shift. This flexibility strengthens your commitment because it prevents you from getting discouraged when things don't unfold as expected. It helps you maintain control over your progress instead of letting external events control you. Leading yourself with daily commitment also involves treating your time with respect. You understand that every hour you waste is time you cannot recover. Daily leadership encourages you to create boundaries that protect your time from distractions, unproductive habits, and unnecessary commitments. You begin to value quality over quantity. You give your time to actions that contribute to your growth and reduce time spent on activities that do not align with your purpose. This respect for your time strengthens your productivity and ensures that you continue moving forward at a steady pace. One of the most powerful results of daily commitment is the sense of stability it creates in your life. When you lead yourself consistently, you build a foundation that supports your emotional health, your decision-making, and your long-term goals. You no longer feel as though you are drifting without direction. You wake each day with a clear sense of responsibility for your growth. You end each day with the quiet confidence that comes from following through. This stability becomes a source of strength during challenges and a reminder that your success is built on your choices. Daily leadership also deepens your self-respect. Each time you honor your commitments, you reinforce the belief that you can rely on yourself. This self-respect becomes an internal source of motivation. It encourages you to keep improving. It reminds you that you deserve the results you are working toward. When you lead yourself consistently, you create a version of yourself that you are proud of. Someone who takes action, grows through challenges, and moves steadily toward long-term goals. Success built on daily commitment becomes lasting because it is supported by discipline, clarity, resilience, and responsibility. It is not influenced by temporary emotions or external approval. It grows from the choices you make every day, from the habits you build, and from the standards you uphold. When you lead yourself with daily commitment, you create a future that reflects your values and your hard work. You become someone who moves with intention and purpose, someone who continues to grow,